I'm very happy to have a special guest on who understands about travel and I guess power spots, exciting experiential eco travel, travel that is involved with ceremony. Vesna Matic is on the line with me. Aloha, Vesna. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, Cindy. I'm so happy to be talking with you. Thank you.
Well, we were connected kind of through the University of Sedona, and I noticed a post you did that looked really interesting. And I went, wow, this is someone who likes to travel like I like to travel, but I think yours may even be a little more adventuresome. I've traveled to about 40 countries, but I've never been to the Amazon, and you're going to be doing a trip to the Amazon in January, end of January, January 26th through the 4th of February, which sounds really exciting. Plus, you're doing some special ceremonies, and you have a fascinating background. So let's start from your roots. Your parents were from Yugoslavia, right?
Correct. My mother is still alive, bless her heart. She's Slovenian. My father passed away about 20 years ago. He came from Serbia, or Sarajevo.
Mm-hmm.
So they both were born there, grew up there, and then both also were in World War II.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you somehow, through your roots and I guess exploring your roots, you decided to go back to Yugoslavia, and then you became a tour director there, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a funny story because on my father's side, my grandparents passed away years before I was born, so I never knew my paternal grandparents. However, on my mother's side, both of my grandparents were alive, and there were 12 children in my mother's family. Of course, mother included in there. And so when I was growing up, I spoke Slovenian and Serbian. Those were the first two languages I learned. And then I started speaking English when I started going to elementary school. So, spoke all of the languages. And every so often, my mother would take my brother and myself to Yugoslavia to visit the family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And
so you get to see it change over the years, because it's really evolved since after the war. It's gone through a lot of changes.
Oh, big time, big time. So when I was in high school, we did have one relative, my mother's sister, who also lived in the U.S., and my cousin, she had never been to Yugoslavia before, so I was a teenager. I was about 16 at the time. So the four of us, my aunt, my cousin, my mother, and myself, went to Yugoslavia, and of course, beautiful trip. So it was funny because as we were getting on the plane, we were boarding to come back to the U.S., I sat down next to my mother and I said, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go to school here. And my mother was laughing like, oh, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. So sure enough, I was going to be going to the university at Cleveland State, and I was thinking that I would perhaps go to the Cleveland State University for 2 years and then move to Yugoslavia and go to the University of Ljubljana, which is the capital of Slovenia. And then I decided against it because the credits and the classes, very different, and I would probably lose a lot of the credits that I had when I would be attending Cleveland State. So I decided to do all 4 years at Cleveland State University. I got my degree in psychology, and then right after I graduated, I moved to Yugoslavia, and I attended the University of Ljubljana, also psychology.
And so you were having to, that was not in English, I assume. That was all in Yugoslavian. So what's the language there? What language?
That was in Slovenian.
In Slovenian, wow. And so you totally had to understand that enough to go through all those classes.
Oh, yes. Well, again, that was, Slovenian and Serbian were the two languages I first spoke.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So, and then I also worked as, I was a tour guide in Yugoslavia, and I worked with primarily three groups of people, Americans, Israeli Jews, and then also from England, so English as well as Scottish people.
So where did you take people? Where were the most popular spots?
Traveled all around Yugoslavia, and actually moved back to the U.S. in 1985.
What were the most popular places people wanted to see, or that you'd show people in Yugoslavia?
Oh, God, Yugoslavia and I still call it Yugoslavia, even though after the revolution, all of the republics pretty much split up. But there are so many things to see. Up north in Slovenia, you have the border, which are the Alps, the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of skiing. People from all over Europe come there to ski. There's also, it's called Bled. Bled is a small island, and there's a very old church that's built on the island. Beautiful. You have Pustoinska Jama, which is an underground cave, crystal cave, also beautiful. Further down south you go, of course, Dubrovnik is, and Americans call it Dubrovnik.
I've been there.
Look, isn't it gorgeous?
Yes, it is.
So that's right on the coast, and you have the walls that were built hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
I went to a little island off there where the Game of Thrones had shot episodes over there.
Yes.
And in fact, the tourism there's really become big business.
Oh, yeah. You have Dubrovnik, Ulcinj. Ulcinj is also down south. That's another favorite tourist spot right on the coast. Yugoslavia also known for its health spas because the waters are natural. They come from under the ground, so they have a lot of minerals. And actually, Radenska is the name of the mineral water, and it is imported here to the U.S.
Yeah.
Also, Yugoslavia known for its crystal.
Wow.
So there's so many things to do, when you go there. And
so what then I guess you had enough of that. You left that work to come back to the U.S. and then you pursued your spiritual studies?
Well, I think my spiritual study, spirituality has always been a focal point for me ever since I was a child. I was raised Catholic, my mother Catholic, so I went to a Catholic elementary school, and I still remember as a child, when I was 7 years old, of course, you had to have your first confession before you had your first communion, and I still remember standing by the confessional waiting for the priest, to call me in. And I tell you, I was scared because I kept thinking in my mind, oh, geez, what kind of sins did I commit? I'm 7 years old, so did I lie to my parents? Did I disobey them? I don't know. So there were just so many things that never resonated with me. And plus, my father being Serbian, he was Serbian Orthodox, so whenever there were big holidays, we would also go to my father's church. And I was told as a child in Catholic religion that even if we went to my father's church, it did not count. So
funny.
That weekend, I would have to go to church twice, to his church and to the Catholic church.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I think, I've been on a spiritual path my whole life. And to me, I incorporate, I do meditations, Buddhism. I've been, to temples, mosques, you name it. And I feel comfortable wherever I go.
And you really enjoy ceremony as well, and you, because of your travels, and I guess your spiritual studies, you're doing ceremonies, truthfully, that I haven't heard of. You're doing one coming up on November 11th. Tell us about that one.
On November 11th, I'm doing it's called despacho. It's a despacho ceremony, and it has been celebrated. It's been done in Peru for also centuries. The shamans there will do the despacho ceremony. First and foremost, it's a way of giving back to Pachamama, Mother Earth. So that's the primary reason for the ceremony. But then also it is done to celebrate other things and for prayers. I mean, if, like a person is wanting abundance in their life or health, prosperity. So what happens is there's a, so to speak, like kit, okay? You start out with having a white sheet of paper. You put that on the ground and directly on the ground. And then you put various things on there, symbols for yourself, but also for Mother Earth. For example, I think we all love sweets. Mother Earth
Yes.
as
Oh,
well.
yes.
There's things like cookies. Also, coca leaves are very sacred in Peru. Mm-hmm. So coca leaves are put into this bundle, and many prayers. And if people want to bring little symbols, something that's important to them, for example, like a little figure of a house, a figure of a man, a woman, a child, flowers, all these things, of course, a cross or money, which denotes the prosperity. So all of these, and the people that are involved in the ceremony will put also their symbols into it, and then prayers, songs are sung, and at the very end, this whole bundle is tied together, and then it is burned. And just as with, for example, the Navajo, the Hopi, what the burning does is that all of the prayers, the intentions, go up in smoke to the heavens.
And that's going to be happening just outside Phoenix at your place, correct?
Yes.
And the best way if people want to find out about that, how do they find out about participating?
Well, people can give me a call directly, and if you feel comfortable, I don't
Sure.
have a problem. I can give my phone number.
Sure.
My phone number is 623-882-9808, so people can call me. My website is visionsforlife.org, and that's spelled VISIONSFORLIFE.org. So that's also another way of
and make sure you put that S on Visions,
Yes.
visionsforlife.org, which also has information, I believe, about you, of course. And, this big trip coming up in January, which isn't that far away, really. It's January 26th through February 4th. It's an 8-day sacred journey in the Amazon rainforest with guided sacred ceremony to open your vision, heart, and mind to a powerful new year. You can heal your heart, purify your soul, and discover you in an Amazon experience. Sounds very interesting. You'll actually be on the Amazon River, and what's happening on that particular journey?
Well, this is really a journey for reflection, for going inward. How we get there, and we are going to be working with a shaman there in the heart of the rainforest for 8 days. So how we get there is we first have to fly into a relatively small city, and then take a canoe for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then we are going to be there where the shaman lives with his family, and we are going to be using plant medicine and the plant medicine is called ayahuasca. Ayahuasca it's a feminine energy, so it really does take you inward. And people, one reason why I particularly love this shaman, his name is Marlon, is because he will go to each person to talk to them, find out where and if there is some kind of blockage, whether it is physical in nature or perhaps it may be spiritual. And then he will make the tea specifically for each individual.
Interesting.
Yes.
I've heard a little bit about this, and it's supposed to be very interesting, very, very introspective and life-changing. And obviously this isn't going to be a busload of people. I mean, how many people are going to be going on this trip?
Well, actually, I'm going to be limiting the group to 10 people.
Wow, that's very intimate. Very intimate, yeah.
And so it really will be 8 days spent outside in nature. I mean, we have the rainforest all around us, so it will be seeing all the wildlife that's out there.
Wow.
And all of our food will be gotten from a local farmer's market. And so there again, a lot of praying, talking, and we will have other ceremonies there as well.
Sounds fascinating. The price is good. It's $2,995. That does not include airfare. You got to figure out your own airfare. But going down there, how do you? I mean, gosh, it'd be interesting how you get down there. Where do you? You're in Phoenix, so it's not so far for you. How do you fly? What airlines do you fly down there?
Well, there are usually like 2 or 3 airlines that go down to Peru. You first have to fly into Lima.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then from Lima, we will be flying to the city, Iquitos, and that's where all of us will be coming together so that we can then go take this canoe and travel forward into the rainforest.
I've never been on a canoe going down the river and the Amazon. It sounds fascinating. It sounds really, really amazing. I imagine you have to get some shots and things and be prepared that way in advance, right?
Yes. Of course, since this is the rainforest, there is no internet, so that the best thing is to take some, like a camera, either digital or possibly a film camera. If you have a cell phone, then taking shots with that, but there is absolutely no Wi-Fi, no internet out there.
What a concept. Wow.
So it really, truly is going to be roughing it, so to speak. We will be sleeping in hammocks.
Mm-hmm.
And, everything being really out in the outdoors.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So they probably should contact you a few weeks in advance, obviously, if they do need to get shots or, be prepared in certain ways and things. So,
since this is the river is right there, the Amazon River, our mosquitoes, so that, of course, it's up to each person individually if they want to take, for example, the yellow fever vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it is highly recommended because, again, a lot of mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
As far as some of the other vaccinations, that is totally up to each individual person. But, for this trip, because it is going to be such a limited number of us going, definitely do need a $500 deposit. So if someone is thinking about going because there are already 2 people that are coming along and, have paid their deposit. So the sooner somebody contacts me, the better.
Well, I think it just sounds wonderful. I mean, I love what you're doing. A lot of people dream about doing just what you're doing for a living, and I'm so happy to see you doing something like this and making it happen. So this is just one of many trips you're taking. I don't know if you thought about any other trips in the future?
Do want to. I plan on taking several trips back to Peru. Peru is absolutely gorgeous. Machu Picchu, the Sacred Valley.
I'd like to go on those. I've never been to Peru.
Oh, you need to go. Oh,
I know.
Also and again, I still call it Yugoslavia, but Medjugorje.
Mm-hmm.
Medjugorje.
That's where Mary was seen.
That's where the Blessed Mother appeared.
Yes.
To the 5 children.
Yes.
And they built a magnificent church there in Medjugorje. Very sacred place. So
wow.
For me, I think that's what this life is about, is really connecting and connecting in ourselves, but also with everyone else, because we are all alike. You know, in all of my travels, doesn't matter what language a person speaks, what their traditions are. We all want the same thing. We want to be loved. We want to have a roof over our head. Have food to eat. The basics. And I think in the traveling, that's where we also make these connections.
I totally agree. Well, these sounds like fascinating journeys. Again, people can go to Visions. I'm going to get this. I've changed the site here on my phone. What's it? Visions? Give me the site.
Yes, it's visionsforlife.org, and it is visions plural.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my phone number is 623-882-9808.
Well, I just I love the work you're doing. It sounds wonderful. It's part of my mission in life is to enjoy and learn and explore through travel as well. And I'd love to see the adventuresome places you go to, and with the spiritual goal in mind, to actually share that vision and learn from the visions that can be seen. And I just think it's wonderful that you're doing this, Vesna. I'm so glad we connected on this. It sounds like a fascinating way to live. So thank you so much for calling in and sharing your story. And I know it'll be very exciting with both of your ceremonies coming up. And if anyone's interested, again, contact Vesna, and I think you'll be glad you did. Thank you so much for calling. Have a good one.
Thank you. Oh, bless your heart, Cindy. It was great talking to you.
You too. Aloha.
Aloha.